Today we're going to take a look at the Asus Republic of Gamers Maximus XI Extreme motherboard. I've got it all set up. We're going to take a run through some of the features on it, some of the things I like, some of the things that I am wishing they changed slightly, and we'll even take a run through the BIOS and see how quickly we can overclock this and see what kind of stable numbers we can get. Okay, first, let's talk about our setup for the Maximus XI Extreme motherboard. In this situation, I've got the i9 9900K processor being cooled by an EK Velocity water block. I've got 32 gigabytes of Trident Z RGB RAM. That's a 3600 speed kit. I've also got the EVGA for the Win 3 2080 Ti graphics card. We're going to take a look into the motherboard, or into the BIOS itself for the motherboard, and we're going to see how easy it is to overclock this. So let's get this restarted. Okay, we are into the BIOS here. As you can see, it's pretty straight up. Starts us off into my favorite screen, main. Shows us what we've got here. Shows us that we are running the i9 9900K. Shows the base clock. The frequency of our RAM that we can run it at. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go into tweaker here first, and I'm going to set up the XMP profile, and that should set our clocks. Looks like it is. We got our base clock at 100. I'm going to go in here and just verify that looks good. Settings are good. All right, so I'm just going to restart it with this. We're going to go in, just do a base benchmark on Cinebench and see how we score on that. It should only take a second to reboot here. Okay, we're here at the desktop, and let's go in here and launch Cinebench. See if we can get a baseline for where we're at. Looks like actually one thing I want to do here first. The hardware monitor up. And so it'll tell us where our temperatures are at the moment. Looks like we're floating around 31, 32 degrees at idle. And our processors are currently sitting around 4700 megahertz at stock. So they're boosting up there right away. So that's nice. Okay, let's run and let's see what we get. Looks like it's moving pretty quick. Now, for me, quick is being compared to a 7700K that I've been using on my main machine for quite some time. I will be putting this processor and the Maximus XI formula into my main rig here in the near future. All right, that finished quickly and gave me a score of 1817. So that's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And let's reboot this again. And let's set it at 5 gigahertz on all cores. See what we get here. Okay, here we are in the BIOS. And let's see what we got here. Oh, enabled for multi-core enhancement. I'm going to leave the AVX at that's here. Sync all cores. And let's set this at 50 to start. And it looks like I already got it set to 1.325 for voltage. And let's see what happens. Okay, here we are at desktop. Again, let's launch our hardware monitor. Okay, as we can see, we are running at 5 gigahertz on our core. Also, I'll keep Asus 64 running at all times. It just kind of lets me see quickly where my temperatures are sitting at, voltages, all that stuff. So it looks like once it settles down here, idling low to mid 30s. Oh, I have an update available for Premiere. That's wonderful. Let's get in Cinebench and run this. So my last score was an 1817, running at stock. That was quicker. That one only came up 1844. Let's run that again. I say only 1844. I'm comparing this to a 7700K, which I believe most of the time hit like 1,000 for a score. 1844 again. I guess that's consistent. All right, we'll save that. And let's see here. Yep, we were at 5 gigahertz the whole time basically, and temperatures maxed out in the mid 60s. And again, that's just using a 240 millimeter radiator to cool this, so it's not like I've got anything really extreme on here at the moment. And let's restart and see if we can push it up a little further. Okay, we're back into BIOS here. Let's go down and see what happens if I can push this up to 51. I'm going to leave the voltage where it's at. And let's see what this does. Okay, we are back at the desktop here. And again, let's open up our hardware monitor. Suppose I should save this down on the taskbar for the time being. Shows us where our temps are. I'm going to clear these out here as it settles down. So we're sitting about low 30s on the core. Package is a little warmer than that. Voltage is at 1.314, kind of fluctuates a little bit. I've got it set at 1.325, so if it needs it. And we're at 5.1 gigahertz. All right, let's run our Cinebench here again and see our score and our temperatures. It's crazy, I haven't had a crash yet either. This motherboard does seem to be handling the 9900K rather well. Even though there's a lot of talk about the lack of phases on this, it is a 10 plus 2, which I believe is actually five phases. Gave us a little higher score at 1853. I'm going to run it again. I'll laugh if it's the exact same score as it was last time. $1886. That's a little stronger. Let's see here. Let's run some Firestrike Extreme. See how stable the overclock is. I haven't done anything with the GPU yet. Actually, let's do times by extreme. There we go. And it's good to note that our temperatures were max out of the mid 60s at 5.1 gigahertz, running at 1.325 volts. So I'm pretty happy with this so far. All right, we'll come back to this as it's finishing up extreme. Okay, we're running through the final portion of times by extreme here. Pretty close anyway. And it is running very smoothly. Now I realize that the graphics card plays into the whole score here, but so does the CPU, and I like this as a good stress test just to get an idea as to where I'm at for stability on not only graphics card that's not being overclocked right now, but the CPU as well. And again, I've got the CPU sitting at 5.1 gigahertz. I think after this, assuming this is stable, we're going to try for 5.2. Because why not? It's amazing how clear this is on a 4K screen too. Oh, here's the CPU test. Guess I wasn't paying attention. I thought it was a little further along. Still, we'll see here in a moment. Okay, now I have to push in the processor. And just looking over here to my LCD readout here on the front of the motherboard. It's up to 48 degrees on the processor, and it's sitting at 48 at the moment. Okay, for some reason it's saying it's an invalid score, and I'm not sure what the reason for that is. Graphics score is 6995, CPU score 5389, 6695 total. So I just realized that I had just updated this to the October update for so version 1809. I'm trying to reinstall the NVIDIA driver here. It looked like it wasn't recognizing the GPU for some strange reason. So we will finish installing the GPU driver and then do a go at it again. Okay, so reinstalled the NVIDIA GeForce driver. We're going to go ahead and run the Times by Extreme again here, and I would be willing to bet, I'm not willing to wet anything, but I am willing to bet that that cleans up whatever the issue is were on this thing. So let's go ahead and hit run, and we'll be right back. Okay, so far it seems to be running very smoothly. I'm very pleased with it, and we're going to see how this finishes up. Okay, CPU test finished. Let's see here. It's thinking. I don't know why it doesn't like something with the GPU. but for some reason it doesn't. Regardless, finish the test with the CPU score of 5394 again, and compare results online. Obviously, I'm not trying to break any records or anything crazy like that. I don't know why it doesn't recognize the graphics card. That is just strange. Very strange. But we will reboot this and go for 5.2. Why not? And let's see here. Let's go for 5.2. See if it boots. And F10. Here we go. I haven't adjusted the voltage yet, so I'm not sure if it's going to let us in or not. If it doesn't, we'll kick the voltage up on the CPU core here a little bit. We'll see. The computer crashed at 5.2 gigahertz with 1.325. So we're going to remove it up or move it up here a little bit to 1.34 volts. Start there and see if that works. If that doesn't work, we'll move it up to 1.3536, somewhere in there. Sure, one of these will work. Okay, we settled on a 1.385 volts at the core. Right now I'm idling. Temperatures are in the upper 30s, low 40s, kind of bouncing around right now as whatever background processes are going on that's using that up. But I am at 5200 megahertz or 5.2 gigahertz frequency. We're going to go ahead and run the Cinebench here real quick. That way we can see what the temperatures end up being here. So it looks like right now they're spiking up to high 70s, low 80s on all cores. Package has gotten up to 86 as a high. Again, the 9900K is a hot processor. And we got a 1924 on that run. I want to do it one more time. I did get up to a 1987 on the last run, and I don't know what's accounting for the difference. Probably background processes, God only knows, and I'm not going to go in and worry about all that right now, being that I'm very happy with how this is working out. This motherboard is very easy to overclock on. My next step is we're going to go into the BIOS, reset everything, and we're going to let it overclock itself using the AI overclocking profile, and we'll show you that. And just so you can see, get you a little closer here. Hopefully you can see those temperatures, but we're talking 80s for the max, fluctuating mid 30s right now for idle, as you can see up here. And my core is again 5200 megahertz frequency, 1.385 at the socket. So we are going to go ahead, close this. We're going to go back into BIOS, and we are going to try it using the AI overclock. The AI overclock feature works very nicely. Set it up to 5.1, not a problem. It set the voltage at 1.385 compared to I was at 5.2 at the 1.385. I guess very similar at that respect. I know that it bases its AI overclocking somewhat on your cooling setup. I'm not sure what else it's changing in there. I haven't gone that deep to look into it. Again, I'm just running the EK Velocity water block on the 9900K into a simple 240 millimeter rad. I believe it's an Alpha Cool one that I had laying around. I do have two Noctua fans. They're NF F12s, I believe, are what's on there. But regardless, this thing overclocks like a beast. I mean, getting to 5.2 gigahertz and sitting there, no problem, is amazing to me. The fact that you can do that is just... The past, everything was based upon, can you get to 5 gigahertz and can you leave it stable and run your system at that? My 7700K, sure, it gets really hot. It also requires more voltage. This is running at 5 gigahertz at 1.32 volts. To me, that's amazing. I can get to the 5.2 at 1.385 volts, and it still stays cool because of the VRM solution. Yes, the MSI Godlike has more VRM phases than this. Yes, the Aorus Extreme by Gigabyte has more VRM phases than this. Do I know exactly what their temperature variances are compared to this, and how if you can push it further? I don't know yet. They both claim 5.2. This is at 5.2, no problem. Can I get to 5.3? I don't know. I'll find out at some point. I'm not going to today. But the fact that this holds 5.2 like it's no problem and everything stays cool is just amazing to me. When I actually set this up as part of my main system, it's going to be in there with, I'll have a 420 on top, a 420 in the front just for the CPU. For my GPUs, we'll have a 280 in the middle and another 420 on the bottom. I'll be able to see how far I can push it at that point because I'll have the cooling set up for it. This is on just a 240 millimeter rad. Nothing exciting, nothing extravagant. Just a simple fan curve. I mean, this is absolutely amazing to me. I love the fact that it's got the LED readout. I've got it set up, and you can set it up in this little app called Live Dash, where you can customize it with various things. You can set it with, do you want it to read out voltage? Do you want it to read out your DRAM voltage? Do you want it to set it up to read out your CPU temperature, your PCH temperature? Do you want to have it fan speeds? Do you want to have it an image or an animation? I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm into that kind of stuff. Some people aren't. That's fine, to each their own, right? But I like it. I like the black motherboard. I like the fact that it's color neutral, that I can base my system on whatever color I want based upon fluids and based upon if I want to do a simple white LED light or nothing at all, or if I want to have a crazy rainbow or whatever I want to do. I like that. I do wish that the DIMM.2 solution didn't take your top PCIe 16 express lane and turn that into a by 8. It's a setting in the BIOS to even enable this, but the fact that it knocks this down to a by 8, I don't like. Will that really diminish my gaming? I don't know yet. I'm going to test it and find out. I'll probably do that right before I do, see how far I can push the overclock on this thing. But the fact that it does that annoys me. To me, they should have tied it in with the bottom PCIe 16 lane and left the top one alone, because everybody's going to put their graphics card, or at least just about everybody will put their graphics card in the top slot. It's just how it works. And if you're going to do two cards, why would you want to eliminate one of them? I don't get that. I love the fact that it's got two water pump headers. They're dedicated. That is amazing. I don't understand why on the Maximus XI formula, the one that comes with an EK water block across the VRM, so it's meant for extreme water cooling, why that doesn't. That comes with one water pump header. That should have two on it. The fact that this has two, I really like that. I like the placement of the of where the fan headers are. They make sense. They group them. They call them the radiator headers. You have a group of four right up on the top. I think that's awesome. That makes sense. Again, I know there are people that want to use fan splitters, hubs. That's fine. The case that I'm using is the Fantex Anthu Elite. For some reason, when I would plug in the fans and use the actual fan hub on that thing, it wouldn't read the RPMs correctly. So it would put my floor at about 900 RPM when those fans will go much lower than that. And I usually have them sitting around 650 to 700 RPM. So they're super quiet, especially for 140 millimeter fans. And those Noctua industrial fans that I use on my main case do get loud if they're, 1200, 1400 RPM, which I don't set them at. But then if it thinks it's basing the curve off of that, it screwed things up. So again, I like to go off the motherboard. That's just me. Again, personal preference. is this motherboard worth $600? I guess you have to be the judge of that. It's my favorite motherboard. It is their extreme motherboard. It is their best motherboard. Asus knows how to build motherboards to overclock. They get many awards. They set world records for overclocking all the time. It's just what they do. Am I an Asus shill? Maybe. I like their BIOS. That's the biggest thing to me, is their BIOS is easy to use. It makes sense. It works. That's my favorite part of the BIOS, or of their motherboard. Is there a reason why I don't really get into the gigabyte stuff? Well, supposedly their new motherboards have a new BIOS, which I will check out at some point once I can get my hands on one. But their BIOS of the past, I just didn't care for. Again, personal preference. I like the Asus BIOS. Overall, I'm very pleased with this. I would suggest that you look into it on your own and see what you think. Pick one up if you don't mind dropping $600. I know that the Maximus XI is $450, so a little less expensive. Not as extreme of a VRM, losing some of the features, but still, I mean, when you're at that point, you're spending a lot of money, and you're not going to put anything other than a 9900K in this unit anyway. So if you're spending that kind of money on your processor, yeah, go ahead and step up to this. Anyway, if you like this video, you know what to do. A thumbs up would be much appreciated. Subscribe. If you don't like it, you also know what to do. Hopefully it's not that. Either way, that's our coverage of the Maximus XI Extreme motherboard from Asus. And we'll see you next week. Have a great day.